Today we're looking at lesson 5.6, divide decimals. And we're going to figure out how you can place the decimal point in a quotient. First, let's do a little review here. Because when you multiply both the divisor and the dividend by the same power of 10, the quotient stays the same. So notice, if I have 6 divided by 3, that's equal to 2. If I multiply 6 times 10, I get 60. If I multiply 3 times 10, I get 30. And 60 divided by 30 is still 2. If I multiply 60 times 10, then I get 600. If I multiply 30 times 10, then I get 300. And there are still 300. 600 divided by 300 is still 2. So as long as you do to your divisor what you did to your dividend, it doesn't change your quotient. Okay? Now you can't just multiply the divisor and not the dividend, or multiply the dividend and not the divisor. You've got to do them both the same. And it needs to be a power of 10. Okay? So in this half, I have a divisor of 120, and I'm going to divide that by 30, which gives me 4. Now if I multiply 20 by 1/10, then I'm decreasing my number and I get 12. If I multiply 30 by 1/10, I'm dividing it by 10, right? And I get a 3, and 12 divided by 3 is still 4. If I divide 12 by 1/10, then I get 1 and 1/10. And if I divide 3 by 1/10, I get 3/10. And 1 and 2/10 divided by 3/10 is still 4. So as long as you do it, the power of 10 to your divisor and your dividend, your quotient does not change. So it says Matthew has 72 cents. He wants to buy stickers that cost 8 cents each. How many stickers can he buy? Multiply both the dividend and the divisor by a power of 10. That makes the divisor a whole number. And when we're dividing decimals, we always want our divisor to be a whole number. Okay? So what am I going to multiply 8 hundredths by to get it to be a whole number? 100. And that made that 8. Now if I did it to my divisor, I have to do it to my dividend. And so 72 hundredths times 100 is 72. And 72 hundredths divided by 8 hundredths is 9. And 72 divided by 8 is 9. So Matthew can buy 9 stickers. This is the number 1 in the middle of page 223. The question is, how can you explain how you know that the quotient of 72 hundredths divided by 800 is equal to the quotient of 72 divided by 8? Well, what did we study in our little chart a while ago? What did it say? What do we have to do to both?
Multiply it by 100.
Okay, for that one we have to multiply by 100. But if you want to get rid of that decimal, you have to multiply the divisor and the dividend both by the same power of 10. So in this case, it was both the divisor and the dividend were multiplied by 100. So the quotients are, okay, this is the try this at the bottom of page 223. See what our little help box says? Again, it shows that little chart where if we do multiply by 10 or tenths, and we do it to our divisor and our dividend, then our quotients will be the same. First, multiply the divisor by a power of 10 to make it a whole number. Okay, so what are we going to, the divisor is 7/10. What are we going to multiply that by to make it be a 7? 10. Okay, so 7/10 times 10 is equal to 7. If we do it to our divisor, we have to do it to our dividend. And if I multiply 56 hundredths by 10, what am I going to get?
56.
I've only multiplied it by 10. 5 and 6 tenths. Our decimal only moved one place value. Now, it says then divide. If you will look down here and let's try this, you will notice that they don't actually do this multiply by 10 and write it all out like that. They just move the decimal over to the right one place to make it a whole number. Everybody's eyes should be up here looking at that. They move the decimal one place to the right to make it a whole number. If you do it to the divisor, you've got to do it to the dividend. So our dividend was 56/100, so they moved it one place to the right. Did it end up so they both look the same as they are up here? Yes, we now have 7 and 5 and 6/10. How many 7s are in 5? None, right? So we don't have anything there. How many in 56? 8. What do we do with our decimal? Bring it straight up into our quotient. And that is 8. So 56 minus 56 gives us 0. So our answer to this is 0 and 8/10. Sherry hikes the Pacific Coast Trail. She plans to hike 3 7/72 miles. If she hikes at an average speed of 1.2 miles per hour, how long will she hike? Okay, we're going to estimate. What can we round 3 7/72? What's the nearest whole number? 4. Okay. And what is the nearest whole number to that? 1. So I have 4 divided by 1, which equals 4. So our answer should come out, how long will she hike? To about 4. Okay. Step 1. Multiply the divisor by a power of 10 to make it a whole number. Okay. 1 2/10 is our divisor. What are we going to multiply it by? 10. And that is going to give us 12. If I multiply my divisor by 10, I've got to multiply my dividend by 10. So I'd have 3 7/72.
Wouldn't it be 337?
Okay, correction, it would be 37 2/2 when I multiply that by 10. Okay, so write the decimal point in the quotient. So we've moved our decimal over one place in each, our dividend and our divisor, and we're going to bring our decimal point straight up into our quotient in our division problem. Now divide. Okay, how many 12s in 3? None. How many 12s in 37?
2. 3.
3, which would be
36.
36. If we subtract that, we'd have 7 minus 6 is 1. Bring down your 2. Okay, and how many 12s in 12? 1. Then we would end up with 0 down here. So Sherry will hike 3 1/10 hours. On the number 2, the describe on page 2, middle of 224, the question or the thing they want you to do is describe what happens to a decimal point in the divisor and in the dividend when you multiply by 10. So each decimal point moves one place to the right. And then question number 3, explain how you could have used the estimate to place the decimal point. I could have used the estimate 4 to place the decimal point after the 3 to show 3 ones and 1/10. Okay, now we're at the try this on the bottom of page 224. We're going to divide and then check our answer. So what's the first thing we need to do when we have decimal or dividing decimals and we have decimal places in our divisor? What's the first thing we have to do? To get it to a whole number. So what am I going to multiply 14/100 by? 100. So if I multiply 14/100 by 100, that's going to make my decimal do what? Move 2 places to our right. And when I multiply 1 and 96 hundredths by 100, because what I do to my dividend, or my divisor, I have to do to my dividend. What does that make this decimal point do in the dividend? Move 2 places to the right. So now, our decimal point is here. Go ahead and put it above that in your quotient. Okay, now let's do our work. How many 14s in 1? None. How many 14s in 19? 1. If I bring that down and I subtract, 9 minus 4 is?
5.
And I bring down my 6. So now I have 56. How many 14s are in 56?
1, 3, 4.
Well, let's go over here and try. 14 times 3.
No.
That's give us 42. 14 times 4. 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 1 is 4 plus 1 is 5. So, and then we have 56, and so we have a 0. Let's go ahead and check this to make sure. And remember, we're going to take our divisor times our quotient. 4 times 4 is 16. Regroup a 1. 4 times 1 is 4 plus 1 is 5. Leave your 0 to hold your place value. 4 and a 1, a 6, a 9, a 1. I have 2 decimal places here and none here. Move my decimal in. So I have 1 and 96 hundredths. I multiply my divisor and my dividend by 100.